Oh, it's recording. Good. Okay, welcome back. It's been a while. I don't know how to record anymore, obviously. Sorry, folks. It's been so long. Good day. Welcome to another car video. I know it's been a while. I apologize for that, but as you saw in my last video, I was taking a break, a mental health break from the whole politics scene, from Twitter, from social media, and haircuts and razors, as you can see. So today is November 3rd, 2020, and it's election day in the United States. It's a big red letter day for me because this is my Super Bowl, presidential elections. Even more so than, prime ministerial elections, Canadian federal elections. It's the big time, the U.S. presidential elections. And a lot has happened in the last 2 months or so. You have your Biden laptop scandal. You have just ridiculous things being said by media and pundits and political candidates. And today's a big day. Or is it? Everything that I'm seeing indicates that tonight will not be the deciding night of the election. Unless either candidate comes out and wins in a landslide. And I mean literal landslide, meaning that the spread is so big that nothing could really argue that they won. And fingers crossed, that's the case for our God Emperor Trump. I am hoping that he wins enough electoral college votes or enough states that it can't even be contested. Even if, as the Democrats are trying to push absentee ballots and mail-in ballots and, come in late, come in the next week or so, and we'll swing one state or two. He's got to win big enough for that not to make a difference. But, the media is getting in line. They're not going to declare a winner tonight. Maybe Fox will, but even them, they might not. And the Silicon Valley oligarchs are getting in line too, basically saying if anybody calls the election early, they're going to delete the post or shut down their account or what have you. If you watch Tim Pool at all, he's been walking on eggshells because he knows what that the ban hammer could come if he's not careful with his words. He's generally pretty careful with his words though. But I'm thinking about it now and I'm like, how did we get to this point? And I'm thinking back to a video I made way back in 2015, maybe even 2016, right around the time of the last election. And there was an article written calling for a national divorce. And, looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, that was the route to go, but it looks like that may be inevitable now. I think regardless of what happens tonight, the election's going to be contested again unless one candidate overwhelmingly wins, and I'm thinking that candidate will be Donald Trump, just purely for the enthusiasm gap. If you look at Trump's rallies, for crying out loud, versus Biden's little get-togethers he has. Biden can barely get in the double digits of people showing up at his events. And Donald Trump had 57,000 people in and around the event in Pennsylvania the other day. 57,000 people. And it's to be assumed that those 57,000 people who came out with their MAGA hats on and screaming at the top of their lungs, they're motivated to go out and vote if they haven't already. And apparently, statistically speaking, it looks like Republicans are going out on election day to vote. Democrats took advantage of the mail-in voting stuff and the early voting. And the pundits I watch, the Tim Pools, the Sticks, Hex, and Hammers, those guys, they're all saying that Trump looks like he's going to take Florida just based on the fact that all the Democrats who were going to vote early voted early. And all the Trump supporters, they're coming out today. So basically, I guess they did an analysis in one of the mainstream rag saying the Trump surge to win. And what they're calling about what they're basically describing the Trump surge as, if Republicans come out to vote on election day, Trump can win. Well, of course Republicans are going to come out to vote on election day. These people are avid supporters. Anyway, I hope he wins in a huge landslide. Again, I don't think that's going to stop the contest, though. I think Democrats, the Biden camp, they're going to fight it tooth and nail. You know, both sides are already talking about getting their lawyers ready for lawsuits if, you know, it's detected there are shenanigans. And I think there's going to be shenanigans. There are already shenanigans reported today. This was reported early in the morning. Apparently in Pennsylvania, there was a Republican poll watcher, a guy who watches the polls. Both parties have their poll watchers that can go to the different wards, the different districts, and basically watch the elections. Watch the polls being cast, watch the votes being cast, make sure the polls are operating on the up and up. Both campaigns have that. Well, apparently in this one polling office, he was denied entry. And there are people saying, oh, well, yeah, but it wasn't his ward. But his little pass, his certificate, his documentation indicates that he can go into any ward, any district at any time on election day and monitor the polling station. So it has nothing to do with what ward he's in. Those are the rules in Pennsylvania. Any person who's been, you know, followed the steps to become a poll watcher can go to any ward. They don't have to just watch their own polling district. But anyway, this is the narrative that's being spun. And of course, the narrative is being spun that Trump is going to steal the election, they're going to suppress the vote, and all this sort of stuff. He's going to fight to keep ballots that come in late from being counted. Well, of course, you don't get to cast your ballot after election day. So I guess in different states they have different rules. So in some states, you know, they're allowing up to a week after polling day, after election day, provided that the ballot is postmarked prior to election day. Well, I guess the Pennsylvania AG basically said Trump's not going to win. After all the votes are counted, Trump is not going to win. And people are saying, dude, you're being partisan. You're not supposed to be, especially with regards to the election. You were in a role where you're supposed to adjudicate the law in Pennsylvania. Kenzie agrees. And the fact that you're saying that Trump's not going to win shows that if a legal battle were to come to the state, you know, the state level in Pennsylvania, you're not going to side with the guy who, you know, for instance, won just because he's not in your tribe. And that's why I say, you know, we've reached this point where it's time for a national divorce. I mean, it was time for a national divorce 4 years ago, but now we've hit the point where we should really just be talking about, you know, selling the house, dividing the cars, working out visitation rights, and just saying, okay, relationship's over. Because the Democrats and the Republicans cannot work together, will not work together. And I'm not going to say, oh, Republicans are better at blah, blah, blah. No, they're just irreconcilable differences when it comes to government policy and how government should run and what government's purpose is. On one side, you've got a camp that says government is there to serve the people and provide for them. And on the other side, you've got the camp, by and large anyway, government is there to protect the rights of the people and serve them. But anyway, I'm a little anxious about tonight, not gonna lie. I really shouldn't be, because like I said, regardless of what happens tonight, it's not going to be over. And again, unless it's like majority overwhelming landslide one way or the other. And even then, who knows? I mean, it all comes down to the different campaigns. What does Biden do at 2 a.m. tomorrow morning, when it's clear that Trump has won? Does he concede? Well, according to Hillary Clinton, he shouldn't. And who knows? It sounds like the rhetoric he's putting out there, he's not going to. And what happens at 2 a.m. if all the votes come in and it turns out that Biden won by a large margin? Will Trump concede? Well, apparently he's going to fight it in the courts. Seriously, folks, just split up the state, split up the entire country. You know, have your red states and your blue states, and break up the country that way. That seems to make the most sense to me. But yeah. The American experiment is over, and the results were less than ideal. I'm not going to say a mistake or negative or what have you. Less than ideal. I still think the American Constitution and the Bill of Rights are documents that, you know, are worth saving and worth hanging on to. It's just, there's a segment of the population in the United States that just doesn't believe it that way, believe it to be that way. They don't think that the Constitution or the Bill of Rights is something that needs to be honored or enshrined. And I don't know how you can reconcile that. Anyway, by the time you guys watch this, the election will be well underway. I'm uploading this tonight after I get back from the park with the doggy dog. And I'll do something tomorrow too. I'll talk about my predictions, and I guess I should make a prediction. I think Trump's gonna win tonight. I think at the end of the day, Trump will have more states. That's my prediction. Could be wrong, but I don't know. We'll see. Unless there's shenanigans, and it looks like there's going to be shenanigans. If there's shenanigans, it'll be contested. But we'll see. We'll see how my oracular powers pan out. Just about at the park now. The dog's about to lose her shit because she gets super excited whenever we go through the gates. Starts whining and moaning and trying to lick my face off. But I better end it there. I got to make a turn here. I thank you all for watching. Thanks for being patient with me. I'm coming back. I'm going to start making videos soon. And I appreciate you all sticking around. Like, share, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Thanks.